In the song of the drums drifting out across the lagoon echoes the question, what will be the rhythm of tomorrow?
As Polynesia is increasingly marketed as an area of leisure and pleasure, the cult of the dancing entertainer has meant dancing for dollars is a growing reality for Pacific tourism.
Bringing smile to people's faces is something that we love doing, you know. And I mean, all Pacific Islanders show people.
I give you Fiji, the best of the Pacific.
When tourism started, then it introduced the pure entertainment element, and that may be, I think, one of the repercussions. It seems to me is that groups now join dance teams expecting to be paid here in Rarotonga, whereas in the past, they joined dance teams because it's fun.
Tourism has had a direct impact on the way dance is performed. Groups have gone smaller because small numbers fit on the stage in a hotel, on a hotel stage. The performance is now catered towards entertaining a tourist, and it's not always positive, I think, to the culture.
I get bored and I go to hotels and I see groups, and I'm very critical. I'm very critical of groups when I think a performance is not what it should be.
What it has done is the performers tend to do things they sometimes would not otherwise do. As I mentioned before, I've seen a chanter open a performance, and then at the end of his chant, he says, "How about that?" I mean that is, it brings a laugh from the audience, but to a certain extent, that's an insult to the chant that you just made. Now you put on stage your most beautiful girl, a certain age group, your best looking man, whereas I think traditionally looks, I mean in the old days, a large woman was absolutely beautiful. Perhaps they put on large women in the front. You know, it's changed.
But in local island dance competitions, there's a focus on moving away from the dances of the hotel stages.
As a judge, the furthest thing from my mind is the tourists. What I'm looking at is the performance, cultural elements of it, depending how strict we're required. You know, for instance, traditionally, coconut shells were not used as bras. The coconut bra came in the late 70s into the Cook Islands, and it has spread so fast that almost every group has coconut bras. So if I'm required to be strictly traditional, I probably would take points off for coconut bras when I see it.
For those who are dancing for the tourist market, compromises are often made with cultural dance styles to meet the taste of these new audiences.
For us, I think back in Ireland, living there most of our lives, doing all the traditional stuff, which is maybe the first and foremost important thing to us. And then just having all the different kinds of people, like tourists coming into the country, it got to a stage where they didn't really understand, you know, the whole cultural concept and things like that. So
it was done, you know.
Yeah, and they preferred modern music and faster beats. So yeah, we sort of tried to put together a contemporary sort of style.
We'll take the hip movements and we'll put it to the South American music. The new break dancing that the boys are doing is really what we've experienced in New Zealand, and it's a way for us to entice the younger Pacific Islanders.
The biggest site for young Pacific Islanders to explore traditional dance in New Zealand is the annual Secondary Schools Polynesian Festival. A common issue over the years is how much new ideas can impact on tradition.
It's giving more flavour, not just flavour, but just a new kind of look for our dancers and things like that. And also that just tells you that they're thinking out of the box about their culture.
If they kept doing the same old things over and over,
stop doing that.
Yeah, it'll just die out. But it's good that they're bringing in new things. They're incorporating like the new generation with the old generation.
I see contemporary art can be performed like for, Black Grace, and I understand that there is a module at University, Auckland University at the moment. So I feel that if we allow the secondary school festival to encompass contemporary art, then traditions would just go out the window.
We're not waking up and looking at plantations every day. We're not looking at the old life. But whether they like it or not, we wake up and this is what we see every day. And they have to realise is that we've been more westernised than they have, and that it's not our fault, and what we're doing is trying to express it in our own way. And at the end of the day, we think that's positive. And if some people look at that as being negative, then we find that there's no justification for that.
You have the misstep and you have the Mrs. Rhythms, which don't quite pertain to Niue as it was. But that would be a dynamic movement of the actual society. So all is good, all is well.
I believe dance is something which has always been a part of our culture. And if there's to be a contemporary outlet for young people, then I think then another experience or festival will be set up for that contemporary outlet to be explored.
It shows that there is interest in it. There's interest in Pacific Island dancing, regardless if there's modernization in it, but the kids are interested in it. The biggest fear that we have is our younger generation not interested in dancing, and we're lost.
Find your body, wiggle your belly, boom shakalaka to the new style of
Another major influence in the changing environment of dance in the Pacific is the new cutthroat competitiveness of dance festivals. At festivals like these, high judging standards and big prize money has put extra pressure on groups to come up with the winning moves.
I hate to say it, but it's the cash prize behind it that's making these performances. Ever since the prize monies were introduced, the attitude has changed, and that is the catalyst behind the revival of our culture, the way that you see it being performed in the Maiwanui.
The stakes are high, and so the pressure is on for all of the groups and the leaders.
The spirit of our people, it's an opportunity for us, to come together. In fact, it's probably the only time where the district comes together.
A hell of a lot of work has gone into this, and a lot of late nights, and a lot of effort from everyone. Everything is just a team and community spirit, and it's wonderful.
Stayed up all night last night making costumes. For me, the incentive is passing on the culture to the young ones. I've always been involved in culture for years, and just seeing the development in the young kids now, people that they really don't have the pride in their culture, and by the end of you have a session with them or the season or the period, and suddenly it's like, yeah, I like this, and maybe we'll come back next year. But we've we've taken guys that couldn't even dance 4 years ago, and now they're great dancers, and they keep coming back, so we must be doing something well.
Takitimu have been renowned for their contemporary flair, particularly in stage presentation, something that's a growing focus in the festival.
I think for most of us, we find it very exciting. At least I find it very exciting. For instance, the performance last night of Puekura, a village I'm from, where they presented bats and they painted their bodies, which traditionally may have been done differently. But it was done very well, I thought, and the audience reacted accordingly. When does a presentation become unacceptable within the confines of what is expected of Cook Islands culture? In other words, if you start wearing a hula skirt made out of Coca-Cola cans, is that unacceptable? I suppose one could say it depends on the theme that is being presented. Whatever the costume may look like, if it merges with the theme, it may be acceptable. Because it's not so much what you're wearing, but what you're trying to present.
The Maivanui competition has also provided more scope than usual for groups to develop a storytelling narrative in their dances.
It becomes more important to do it right, to do it correctly, to tell the story properly, because it's a record for future generations that watch it on tape or whatever. And it's important that you get facts right about an item that you're going to perform. Whereas with the tourists, they can just pick up any old song that's on the radio and not worry about how you choreograph it, whether the words and the actions are exactly the same. There's not that importance there for the tourists. As long as it looks lovely and you're smiling and you're singing and you're enjoying yourself, the tourists are going to be happy. Costumes also, skirts used to be up here to cover the belly button. Now they're way down here, and that emphasises the swing.
There is a greater effort with details of costumes, very fine costumes this year. And the standard, particularly of the outer islands, has come up.
One of the outer island groups renowned for their distinctive style of dance and presentation are the Pukapukans. Every year the group spends 5 days on a long boat ride to bring their individual flair to the festival stage in Rarotonga.
Pukapuka is isolated. So if you come to Pukapuka, you are cut off from everything. No TV, no... So we make up our own moves and our own... We just stick to what we have. Yeah.
Pukapukans are very unique. They do things that only Pukapukans do. They wear clothes that we immediately recognize. There goes a Pukapukan by the way he or she dresses.
For the outer island team, participation is for self-enjoyment for the most part, and not so much for the audience. One of the elements in the scoring is how much you have succeeded in maintaining your uniqueness.
Across the waters, Tahiti also seeks to maintain the uniqueness of their dances at the Hiva Festival, again known for its high standard of competition.
Aujourd'hui, et avec les écoles de danse aujourd'hui, on a beaucoup amélioré la danse, c'est ce qu'on a vu ce soir. La Polynésie a beaucoup de styles de danse par rapport aux archipels. Parce que le problème, c'est que ici à Tahiti, il y a beaucoup d'écoles de danse et que beaucoup de chefs de groupe ont changé le style de danser. Ici à Tahiti, il y a un changement carrément. On a beaucoup évolué. On est presque parti dans les danses un petit peu copiées un petit peu du moderne.
call yourself modern contemporary dancers? Can't you see everybody is laughing at you?
Dad, not now, please. It's not my fault.
Hey, don't look at me. Keep dancing. Hey. You know, I never thought I'd see the day, but today is the day that it's all official. That my two sons and the Metziani are good for nothing moron.
Morons?
Yes, moron.
I thought we were meant for that.
Just shut up!
There are many news stories being told in dance. One presentation was Malanga, an Auckland University initiative exploring new visions of Pacific traditions, something that has sometimes brought concerns.
We had a community meeting in the very beginning of Malanga, and there were people who voiced their opinions about having their traditional dance seen on stage in such a way that would embarrass them and their culture. I was quite offended because there was someone that spoke about Cook Island dance, and this person didn't know who I was, and I just thought, well, you just see me as a little boy who doesn't know anything, who wouldn't pay the respect that is due to Cook Island dance. And if I were to use Cook Island dance, and in that situation, I thought, okay, then I'm going to be very, I was going to be very, you know, of course I'm not going to go and use Cook Island dance and bastardize it on stage for all to see. And I wouldn't do that to any of our cultural dancers. But it was a wake-up call in terms of how the community see us and how the community was going to view Malanga. They were going to come along and with machetes in the back, their backpacks going, waiting for the dance. The whole experience of A, the performers, and B, the audience was such a positive one that it wasn't put into a slot of that's a dance or that's a choral production or that's the theatre, or it was just us.
Modern tales of the Pacific have also been told by Neil Iremia in Black Grace.
I'm here to create work, you know, that captures a moment in time. People started to put us in a category and started to go, yeah, that's a Pacific dance company, so they must do a whakaupaki somewhere along the line, or, you know, and it's just like, you know, I felt that pressure. And it took me ages to come to terms with this, but when I did, it was the most liberating thing that's ever happened to me as an artist. You know, to have this, to acknowledge that I don't belong solely to this culture, but I have many others that inform me as a person and as an artist. If we get too judgmental or put too many barriers around it, we, in essence, start to kill the creative spirit.
And the creative spirit of Pacific women has also danced across our stages. One such tale was Frangipani Perfume, penned by Makarita Urale, choreographed by Te Okotai Paitai.
As an actor, you don't get to move around a lot on stage, and this play is just full of movement. It's really exciting to be a part of. I'll imagine that a lot of other Polynesian women would relate just to the sister thing. The sister thing is the biggest thing. When we performed down in Wellington, everyone always cried. And it was quite amazing because the guys cried the most.
You had the opening dance, which was quite languid and sensuous, and depicting the stereotype of dusky maiden that I love working with PI women full stop because of all of this. And it, I think I had the easy part. I definitely had the easy part, and I just said 5, 6, 7, 8, let's do this, 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 and this. And the girls worked really hard to maintain all of this that I was throwing on them, and yet at the same time try and keep it as natural because it was ingrained in them. It's something that's already ingrained in our women, as I saw it. Yeah, as from what I read of the play, I knew I could relate this to the women that I saw throughout my life.
More stories of Pacific women have been told in Paper Flowers from the vision of Siosi Munipuna.
The movement in Paper Flowers was from the Siva. How I bridged the two together, the traditional and the Western, is by using the patterns on stage. And you can also use different elements like lighting to highlight different parts of the body, parts of the stage. Also using different directions. Usually in Samoa and Whiawhia, the performance is all front on. What I like to play around with is how we can use the body in stage, which I've learned through technical sort of terms, being, in the Western sort of contemporary. I wanted the audience to just see Paper Flowers and see the performers on stage as real Polynesians. Big, small, little, short, tall, as long as they can perform, as long as they can give across the concept, the stories to the audience, or for whatever size you are.
Our voice and the expression of our ideas and our pains and our journeys and experiences are just as important and just as valid as those from Europe and America.
Dance from the heart.
I think anyone can do it if they have a passion.
We tell it from our point of view, and that's something we want to keep.
Why can't a New Zealand dance company be the best in the world? I mean, the only thing that's stopping us is us.